It is 10 a.m. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. The NHL Draft Lottery was held on Monday, and the Nashville Predators fell to the number 5 pick in the 2025 draft. The New York Islanders won the lottery. They will pick number 1. The draft begins June 27th in L.A. Preds GM Barry Trotz held his end-of-season presser Monday afternoon before the lottery and remained committed to Preds head coach Andrew Brunette after a season where the Preds finished second to last in the Central Division.
Good young people, when you believe in them, just like a good young player, you stick with them. And Andrew Brunette is just like a young player. We could have did the easy thing, make a change and see if we can get a bump up, whatever. I didn't do that. I believe in developing people. I believe he's a good young coach. He's a good young hockey mind, and Andrew's going to work hard to find the solution.
In NFL news, the Baltimore Ravens have released kicker Justin Tucker after 13 seasons. The team made the announcement in a statement on Monday. Tucker is currently the subject of an NFL investigation into allegations of improper conduct during massage therapy sessions. He has denied any misconduct. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Robert called out, so we've got Jackson. It's Lucas and me with you until 1 o'clock. Good morning. Welcome in. Sun is shining. Feels a little bit more like May, though it's still a tad too cold for me outside. I'm sure you are not adapting well to the return home from your Punta Cana vacation.
The more older I get, the more I feel like a lizard. I want it to be 90 degrees all the time. Year-round.
I don't want 90 degrees.
I want 90 degrees.
All the time. That's spoken like somebody who's very much under 200 pounds.
I want it to be sweltering year-round.
No.
Sun bearing down.
You don't get uncomfy at training camp when we're just sitting there in a puddle of ourselves throughout the course of the broadcast, bathing in nothing but Kirby's cigarette smoke?
I would take that over shivering any day.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. But we're not here to talk about the weather. We're here to talk about the thing that made Preds fans shiver yesterday. How the hell did they end up with the worst possible draft lottery situation that they could have possibly gotten after that horrifying season that they subjected everybody who stuck with them through? I'll be the first to tell you, I maybe watched, Lucas. It's probably the fewest Preds games I've watched since moving here 10 years ago. I maybe watched 4 full hockey games this year. Maybe at any given point. And that's including attending the home opener back in October. So the Nashville Predators, the NHL Draft Lottery took place last night. And unfortunately for the Preds, the Islanders, who had a 3.5% chance to win the number 1 pick, beat the odds and won in the first draw, jumping 9 spots from their pre-draw spot at number 10. In the draw for the number 2 overall spot, you've got the Utah Hockey Club, Will Bowling's Utah Mammoths. Not Hippos, not Woolly Hippos or whatever he thinks they are. The Utah, soon-to-be Mammoths. They're still the hockey club. In the meantime, the hockey club jumped from the number 14 slot to take the number 4 pick because no team can jump more than 10 spots. The San Jose Sharks are 2, the Chicago Blackhawks are 3, and the Preds are number 5. That's deeply unfortunate. Now, I am not the most educated when it comes to the NHL draft. I am assuming that it is not like the NFL draft, where a top 5 pick will still net you a fairly high-caliber talent player, a difference maker. It doesn't seem, based on what research I was able to do in the lead-up to this, that exists in the NHL draft the same way that it does in football, for example.
No, it's very, very different. You're not going to get the top of the top, the cream of the crop prospects. You can still end up with a good player. Like the closest thing to it, I don't know the last time the Preds had the number 5 pick. I mean, Seth Jones comes to mind as a number 4 pick to the Preds that turned into a good player for them.
Doherty of the Tennessean, who will join us later in the show, wrote last night that the Preds will have their first selection in the top 5 since taking Seth Jones in 2013.
There you go. So it is wild, man, that a team that finished 14 points better than the Predators last season, or I guess this season, it's still going on, we're in the playoffs, can have the number 1 overall pick, and the Preds can be picking at number 5. I'm not even going to sit here and pretend to understand the NHL draft lottery and all the ins and outs of it. We'll let Alex do that for us, but it is unfortunate. Yesterday did not feel like a good day for the Nashville Predators.
Not just because Barry Trotz gave a 30-minute diatribe before taking questions at his end-of-season press. I assume this was their, feels like locker room cleanout day should have happened a while ago.
It did. This was his official end-of-season presser, and then he had a post-draft lottery presser.
Okay, got it. So he spoke yesterday. He talked about why they're retaining Andrew Brunette as the coach, and we will get to some audio from Barry Trotz here in just a second. Worth noting that Nashville has 2 additional first-round picks in this upcoming draft acquired via trade. They have Tampa's first-rounder in the Tanner Jeannot trade that went back to 2023. And they also have Vegas's first-round pick, which was a result of the Yaroslav Askarov trade. I've never learned how to properly pronounce his name.
Askarov.
Doesn't really matter anymore.
I was saying it Askarov, and then Lucas came in here and put a little extra flair on one of the A's in his name, and I wasn't sure. It made me...
Did I put a little English on it?
Yeah, you put something on it. Whatever your weird, weird prism you run words through when you say them incorrectly, that.
The chamber on it.
So
I think everybody else is saying the word chamber incorrectly.
I don't think that's true. The Preds have 10 total picks in this upcoming draft, 3 in the first round, 2 in the second round, and 2 in the 6th in particular of note. And as I mentioned, Alex Doherty will join us later in the show. Brown and Casey on YouTube, where you can interact with the show, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, says, who is the best ice skater on the show? Now, you have roommates that play club hockey, right? Multiple roommates. How many people live with you, too?
18, 19.
That's
basically a hostel.
I'm never sure. Every time I go to your home,
there's always people.
There are more people there.
Always people coming in and out.
I need like flashcards to remember everybody's name every time I go over to Lucas.
I'm always surrounded by people.
Yesterday, he pulled out of nowhere a pantry that turns into a basement, and I'm pretty sure there's 5 more people living down there. Who's to say?
Yes, I do have multiple friends that play club hockey and take it very seriously and are very good skaters. I am not one. I don't know. That would be honestly very funny, the 3 of us. I think
it's me.
I doubt you can skate.
Indisputably, I think I'm the best ice skater.
I would be shocked if you could even stay upright on ice skates.
Why is that something that you're alleging?
I just don't see it. I don't know. I have no reasoning behind it. I just don't see it. I can stay upright, but once I start moving, then that's a whole other thing.
It's been a while. I don't know how I would do, but I feel like I got this one. If my competition is you and Robert, I feel like I got this one.
So the Preds are pretty much running it back. We'll see if there are any changes to the coaching staff under Andrew Brunette. But I can't help but listen to Barry Trotz speak to media and feel like I'm just listening to a coach speak. I mean, doesn't this just feel like a coach doing another coach a solid? Barry Trotz retaining Andrew Brunette?
Let's hear from Barry Trotz, shall we?
Good young people, when you believe in them, just like a good young player, you stick with them. And Andrew Brunette is just like a young player. We could have did the easy thing, make a change and see if we can get a bump up, whatever. I didn't do that. I believe in developing people. I believe he's a good young coach. He's a good young hockey mind. And Andrew's going to work hard to find the solution.
So that is Barry Trotz speaking on Andrew Brunette, the head coach of the Nashville Predators, who will be retained. Did we ever figure out what happened? He sounded like he had a bit of a situation. Andrew Brunette, he had to step away from the team.
Personal matter involving his father.
We'll hope everything's okay.
Yeah.
On that side of things, obviously, just because you're unsatisfied with a person's professional performance doesn't mean that you have to wish ill upon them. So hopefully everything with Andrew Brunette is in a good spot from a family side of things. But on a hockey side of things are very much not right with the Nashville Predators And we're going to dive into that with Alex Doherty a little later on. We'll mix some Titans into the show today. There's not a ton to talk about, but there are a couple of things that Mike Sando of The Athletic is going to join us to point out about how the rest of the NFL is viewing what the Titans did this offseason, including the number 1 overall pick in Cam Ward. And there's some news that we're going to address in the headlines that I'm almost glad Bert's not here for today, because I feel like he would put himself in a precarious situation, and it's in his own best interest to avoid that. Let's start with Titan Willie on the phone lines. What's up, Willie?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Good morning.
Good morning. Are you awake? You okay? You sound a little sedated.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here drinking coffee, listening to the show. Starting off the morning right with the Buck Rising show. But
Lovely.
hey, got a couple questions for you guys just to kick the day off. Was wondering about what your projection was for the Titans for maybe their ceiling, what your expectation is for reality, what they're actually probably going to do. Overall performance, Cam Ward included, however you want to address that. But also, Buck, I was going to ask, when is the install going to be dropped with you and Greg Cosell? Would love to hear that, and have a great day. See you guys.
Thanks for the call, Willie. Hope you're enjoying your 10 a.m. coffee, getting the day started at 10 a.m. Oh, he's in Vegas. Okay, very good. That is getting the day started. We're drive time in Vegas. Do you want to do season projections for the Titans? I mean, it feels a bit early on May the 6th.
Ceiling Super Bowl, floor 0-17. Let's get real literal with it.
I think that's a 5-win football team. If you're asking me straight up, I think that anything beyond 5 wins would be a pleasant surprise. I think anything below 5 wins, somebody's getting fired. So that feels like a pretty fair way for me to look at this football team right now. Look at them not being, they are immediately improved because they improved the quarterback situation. So I can't discount what they've done. But the rest of it, I don't know. I mean, it's a bunch of guys who I think are going to be good football players in like 2 to 3 years.
Well, the entirety of the offseason is going to be spent trying to set some sort of baseline expectation. It's hard to do when you have a rookie quarterback that you have yet to see at the NFL level, the number 1 overall pick that you know is a day 1 starter, a roster full of holes, rookies that are going to have to contribute. You have no idea which one of those will find their footing earlier than the others. It makes it hard. Like, ceiling will probably be set around, like, best case scenario.
I think if they were in another division, it would be less difficult. But I think because they are in the worst division in football, that it gives them a little more wiggle room than they might otherwise, frankly, deserve if they played in a tougher division, if it wasn't the garbage heap that is the AFC South. So I don't know. I feel pretty comfortable saying 5 wins. What's their Vegas win total? Can you pull that up quickly, whether it's FanDuel or ESPN Bet or any of these outlets? I'm sure there are projections post-draft versus pre-draft. I bet they're 5.5, and I'd probably go under.
Vegas has 5.5.
Yeah.
Plus 100 to go under, minus 120 to go over.
It feels 5 wins feels like a safe expectation for them with a rookie quarterback and a roster that is going to be improved, but is not overwhelmingly improved from the one that took the field last year. Again, if they don't turn the ball over 34 times, maybe end up being a 6 or 7 win football team. Who's to say? All right. We have headlines?
We do have some NFL headlines.
NFL headlines are next. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is such a great resource for guys who have given up if you're dealing with performance issues or you're starting to get frustrated because you just kind of feel tired or sluggish, not like yourself, and assume it's part of the aging process. Doesn't have to be that way. Low energy and performance issues aren't inevitable. Solutions exist, and they exist at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, where there is no guesswork and no gimmicks, just real science and effective treatments. They are there to help you beware of online fixes like generic online pills that are overpriced and ineffective, and to provide you with personalized treatment plans, including multiple urologists and providers that are there to tailor solutions specifically to your body and to your goals. They offer you comprehensive men's services, including ED treatments, testosterone, and a lot of things that many guys don't even know exist. They're there to help you with affordable and accessible consultation, which includes blood work with results before you leave. So call them today. Stop procrastinating. 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090, or visit them online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com today.
It's time for headlines with Lucas Panzika.
He literally got in my ear and said, "Let me know when you want me to go." Ah. Just so the YouTube chat knows, nobody else can hear this, but we are currently in an emergency alert service test. So that is why we started a segment and then stopped a segment. We will be back with you shortly.
Feels so secretive. I'm just talking to the chat right now and nobody else.
Nobody else can hear us.
This is
Just you
weird.
guys. Oh, are we back? No. No. I was trying to have an intimate conversation with the YouTube chat.
It was getting very intimate.
Yeah, we were whispering sweet nothings to them.
I'm getting my moment.
No, not again.
It is time for NFL headlines with Lucas Panzika, part 2.
Jesus Christ. That's just awful.
Oh, man, who knocked us off there? Justin Tucker's people,
Justin
MSNBC for using their election theme.
Well, don't tell MSNBC that we've been using their election theme. That's something we've been getting away with. Yeah, now we're going to have a lawsuit on Cumulus's desk.
I don't think so.
I think if Justin Tucker's people, I don't want to say got away with anything, but if they got off pretty easy, it was yesterday based on the headline that you're about to read me.
Yeah, so the Baltimore Ravens are releasing kicker Justin Tucker. 13 seasons from a purely football standpoint, 13 hugely successful seasons. A Hall of Fame career for a kicker for Justin Tucker. Obviously, he is currently the subject of an NFL investigation into allegations of improper conduct during massage therapy sessions. So before we read the statement, just a reminder that a total of 16 massage therapists from 8 Baltimore area spas have accused Tucker of improper conduct. They all said that his actions occurred between his 2012 rookie year with the Ravens and 2016. This news broke January 30th. The Baltimore Banner first reported these allegations. Tucker has denied any and all misconduct at every single turn. We all know about how established and successful his NFL career has been. UDFA out of Texas in 2012, the most accurate kicker in NFL history, the league record for longest made field goal, Super Bowl champion, all of these things. The Baltimore Ravens put out a statement yesterday from Ravens executive VP and GM Eric DaCosta. Quote, "Sometimes football decisions are incredibly difficult, and this is one of those instances. Considering our current roster, we have made the tough decision to release Justin Tucker. Justin created many significant and unforgettable moments in Ravens history. His reliability, focus, drive, resilience, and extraordinary talent made him one of the league's best kickers for over a decade. We are grateful for Justin's many contributions while playing for the Ravens. We sincerely wish him and his family the very best in this next chapter of their lives." The Justin Tucker era in Baltimore is officially over.
All right, so that the tone feels gross, right? We can all agree.
What do you mean? Just like dressing it up as a purely football decision?
Yeah. Like, and listen, if they wanted to pick a season or following a season where they could potentially make it no, this is a football decision. It's got nothing to do with the 16 accusers from how many area spas?
8 in Baltimore.
Baltimore area spas. I didn't even know the city of Baltimore had 8 spas in it. If you wanted to try and slide this under everybody's noses as being purely a football decision, you would do it based off last season, right?
Yeah.
Where he had his lowest field goal percentage, I think it's of his career.
Yeah, 73 point, like by a large margin.
73.3. The next lowest was what? 82.5 back in 2015 for Justin Tucker. So they can call it a football decision if they want to and say, but no, look, his field goal percentage fell off a cliff. He's not so important that we can't find another field goal kicker to make 73.3% of his kicks. It's a business, baby. Yeah, but this is providing the Ravens organization, to me, a very convenient out to let the rest of the story be about Justin Tucker, former Baltimore Ravens kicker, as opposed to letting the Ravens get caught up in whatever else may come out about the Justin Tucker thing. I don't think that you needed to include the kind of, well, he's just been a great player for such a long time, so many memorable moments in NFL history. Just say you're releasing Justin Tucker. I don't need the rest of it, because the rest of it's going to make me look at you with a bit of a side eye. Be like, what are you doing here? What are you trying to get away with here? What are you trying to avoid here that you might otherwise be caught up in had this story played out and he was still on your roster?
I mean, look, it is a complicated thing for them because he is a franchise legend. Ravens fans love Justin Tucker. I believe that the people in that building love Justin Tucker and have for many years. And you're right. Like, if none of this stuff was out there.
Again, I'm glad Bert is not here today to step in it, because he would absolutely step in it on this story.
With none of these allegations out there, this could happen, and you'd say, I kind of get it. You're trying to, like the way the Titans got out releasing Brett Kern and bringing in Ryan Stonehouse. Like, from a football decision.
Yeah, let's make sure that you say that.
Yeah, no, obviously. Okay. I'm talking strictly from from a football decision. Like,
it's too close in correlation.
I think we're all smart enough to be able to talk about this from a football standpoint.
Brother,
right?
have you seen Twitter?
If we were talking about this from, are we on Twitter right now? I thought we were on the radio. So if we are talking about this
on Twitter, yes,
from a football standpoint, like, this could make sense. They drafted a kicker. It's the first time they've ever drafted a kicker. In the 6th round, they took Arizona kicker Tyler Loop. The drop-off last year, Justin Tucker is, I don't know how old. He's been in the league since.
He's 35.
2012. Yeah, 35 years old. So none of the allegations could be out there, and you could make this make sense.
Yes.
That, hey, it's probably not going to get that much better from here.
End of an era. Right?
End of an era. Thank you for everything. Absolute legend, Super Bowl champ. But we're moving on. We're trying to get out at the right time here. It would all make sense. So I get why they're using that as the cover here, and they're not trying to, blast franchise legend on the way out for allegations that have yet to be proven one way or another. So I'm not going to slam the Ravens for going about it this way.
I feel like it's okay if you want to. If you wanted to, I would not kill you for it, because I'm going to.
Yeah,
too much praise for somebody who's got too many of these awful allegations in his background. I don't care that he's a franchise legend of yours. I don't care that he's a part of many memorable moments in NFL history. I don't care that he's a Super Bowl champion. I care that you were releasing him for football reasons, and then let that be it. Just tell me football reasons. Let me move on with my day. Don't dress it up to the point where I'm looking around being like, why are you showering so much praise on somebody who clearly has something going on outside of football here? That's that's really the only thing that I have against the Ravens in this situation.
I mean, the allegations are nasty. Absolutely. We'll see. It'll play out in the legal system, but it's a tough situation for the Ravens to be in. When a franchise legend who has these allegations that have yet to be proven one way or another, the drop-off that happened, they're trying to get out as respectfully as they can to Justin Tucker and let the legal process play out. It's a tough spot for them to be in from a PR standpoint.
Well, yeah, but they're making it a hell of a lot easier. I don't have sympathy for the Ravens on this particular system. I don't have sympathy for NFL organizations in situations like this. You take risks on players. Now, nobody would have said prior to Justin Tucker's allegations coming out that Justin Tucker was any kind of a character risk. But you see teams take risks on football character. The Ravens just did it. The Ravens just drafted Mike Green. Mike Green, who has sexual assault in his background. The pass rusher out of Marshall by way of Virginia, where he just up and quit the team. Organizations take risks on talented players all the time. So I really am not here for woe is me, Ravens in a tough PR spot. I know that's not what you're saying, but that's kind of the way that the tone makes it sound. And I could not be less interested in doing that today. We have other headlines. I don't want to dwell too long here.
I'm just saying they have an out. They have a football decision out.
They have a football out.
It was a big drop-off last year for Justin Tucker. So we'll see what happens with this NFL investigation and if his NFL career is over at the age of 35. The L.A. Rams and quarterback Matt Stafford have finalized contract terms. We now know, we already knew he was going to remain a Ram. What we did not know is that Matthew Stafford will make $44 million in 2025. Fully guaranteed.
I'm going to look up where that ranks among active quarterbacks as far as the contracts go, because if Dak is averaging, wouldn't you rather have Matt Stafford at 44 than Dak Prescott at 60? And I know Stafford's older and he's had injuries in his career and things like that, but the quarterback contract, like Matt Stafford for $44 million is a deal, bud. Especially when
it ranks him 15th in the NFL.
They're still in a window to win. And I was kind of glad. I mean, did they end up taking a quarterback in this year's draft? I don't believe so.
No, I don't think they did.
So if you're looking at the contract, yes, as Lucas says, his average salary ends up being about 15th. He's right between, ironically enough, Patrick Mahomes and Geno Smith. How about that for contract neighbors?
They did not take a quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo is still a Ram.
God, that Deshaun Watson is still averaging $46 million a year on that contract is crazy to me. But with all the things that LA has, this is less a story about the Rams to me than it is about the Giants. Like, how bad a situation are the New York Giants that Matt Stafford wouldn't take a significantly greater sum of money, understanding that the taxation situation between New York State and California are probably pretty similar. I mean, it's cost of living in either of those two markets is going to hit you pretty hard. He cares more about winning, I'm sure, at this age than he does about the money. But the fact that the Giants did, I have a hard time being critical of the New York Giants because I think they tried just about everything that they could within their power to address the quarterback position. They just got turned down a bunch of times. They got turned down by the Titans in terms of the trade offer. They got turned down by Matt Stafford when they were interested in acquiring him. So it's less a story about the Rams to me than it is about New York. The Rams are fascinating, though. I mean, I would probably, who's the second best team in the NFC right now? Philadelphia's one. San Francisco is a question mark right now.
Man, I mean, Washington was in the NFC Championship.
Sure, but Washington's year 2 with Jaden Daniels is going to be fascinating.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
They're getting the draft, they're getting RFK. All it took was one good football season for them to bring that thing back from the depths after just 20 years of misery under Dan Snyder. Washington is an interesting submission there because theoretically they did get better. They got younger, they got faster, they added more talent around their incredibly impressive rookie quarterback. So
look at Detroit, obviously.
Detroit, okay.
Right. I mean,
here Detroit,
but no, it's good.
But again, Detroit's in a weird spot too. Yeah. They lost both their coordinators.
Detroit was a much better regular season team than the Rams last year, but as we've talked about, the Rams were a play away from hosting the NFC Championship game and in all likelihood winning and going to the Super Bowl. Like, they would have been the favorite at home against the Jaden Daniels-led Washington Commanders, who were probably at the end of their rope, no matter what, in that playoff run, which was remarkable. So, yeah, it's a great argument for the Rams, who continued to boost that defense in the draft.
Well, because I think they were spending the least amount of money in the league on their defense. It's something like $15 million.
We're getting a lot of production out of guys on rookie deals.
Yeah, it's Fisk, it's Verse, it's
Byron Young, the Tennessee pass rusher.
Byron Young ended up being a much better player than I anticipated at the pro level. What else you got?
Elijah Moore, we talked about it just a little bit yesterday. It's another free agent wide receiver off the board. The former Jet, former Brown, lands with the Buffalo Bills. He says, quote, Josh Allen will put me in the best position of my career. That was the guy that...
That's not a
big
profound
for
statement.
Him. No doubt.
What are his quarterback history? Zach Wilson and Deshaun?
Basically.
Maybe a little DTR mixed in there?
Yeah, he was with the Jets in 2021 and 2022, so that's pre-Aaron Rodgers.
Yes,
so, yeah.
I would say he could comfortably and confidently say that.
No doubt. And he hasn't been a terribly unproductive player. Like, that's a guy that has been in that 400 to 600 receiving yard range as a slot receiver for all 4 years of his NFL career. Most productive season scoring was his rookie year with the Jets, 538 yards, 5 touchdowns. He had a 640-yard season with the Browns in 2023 with 2 touchdowns. He's coming off a year where he had a career high in catches with 61 for 538 yards and 1 touchdown on a dreadful Browns offense, as we know. So Elijah Moore lands at a spot in Buffalo that maybe could use a little more juice at wide receiver.
It's not a bad wide receiver room. It's Josh Palmer, who got a big deal to go there. It's Khalil Shakur, who's got paid this offseason.
You need Keon Coleman to take a step.
Keon Coleman was up and down as a rookie, as you would expect, a second-round pick, and that was kind of the book on him, right? The consistency is something that they were looking to iron out, or that he would have to iron out to kind of achieve his potential as a pro player. Curtis Samuel is there, Laviska Shenault, so they've got players. Elijah Moore's a nice addition. Bert and I talked about this last week, just to quickly pivot Titans, because there is going to be some post-draft free agency stuff at some point for the Titans, once we get the UDFA stuff settled, it feels like. Keenan Allen, depending on the cost.
He's still out there.
Well, yeah. Why shouldn't he be a Titans player? I mean, I know other than they're running the retirement home for 30-plus-year-old wide receivers.
Just if you don't want to keep getting older.
But if it's a one-year deal, and Lockett's a one-year deal, and Ridley, you probably have an out after this year, to be honest. I'll go look at Calvin Ridley's contract real quick, but I can't imagine that they're tied to too much money beyond 2025.
Yeah, Keenan Allen, who is 33, will be 33 this season. It's really him and Amari Cooper out there in terms of the big names still available. Amari Cooper, who will be 31 this season.
Yeah, they have an out on Ridley after this year.
And then you get into the Nelson Aguilar, DJ Chark, Tyler Boyds that are all still out there.
They could save like $13 million if they cut Ridley at the end of the season. So something to keep an eye on. It doesn't mean that you can't reset the board, even if you just take 1 year with Cam Ward. Because I asked Callahan this for the caller Willie, who brought up yesterday, or I guess earlier in the hour, when is the install going to drop? I know they're going over to the analog to download it today. It's apparently a substantive video file that they have to then extract the audio from, so it's going to be a whole process. I would assume by the end of the week, but that's neither here nor there. Either way, Brian Callahan at the live show on Friday, I asked him, you don't have Jamar Chase. You don't have a fire-breathing dragon wide receiver. I think we can all pretty comfortably acknowledge that. Calvin's a good player, but you understand there's not anybody, basically, that's Jamar. So without that top-tier, arguably top player at the position to support your young first overall pick at quarterback, how do you kind of supplement that with what you have remaining in the best way that you possibly can? And he's talked a lot about veteran experience, veteran presences, helping to uplift the rookie quarterback to make his life a little bit easier. Something to consider. I know Titans fans would be like, well, we already have 30-year-old wide receivers. Yeah, but you could probably use a little more help in the event that DK or Iamaner is not 100% right out of the gate ready to go. What else you got?
That's it.
All right, very good. Those are the headlines. Do we have anything to give away? Anything in the nebulous prize bucket? Easy for me to say.
Nope, it's empty.
All right, that's fine. I don't need them. All I need is for people to call in, coming up next, 615-737-1045, and tell us what in sports made you say, oh no. That's right. Plenty of things, especially with the playoffs going on in the NBA and the NHL. Sometimes you just see something, makes you say, oh no, drop your head into your hands, and just sigh exasperatedly. That's what we're going to get into right now. 615-737-1045. What in sports made you say, oh no? Lucas, are you familiar with the Met Gala?
Yes. I feel like that's what you are dressing for a Titans noon kickoff against another 3-win team sometimes.
Hey, you know what? Even when they suck, that doesn't mean that I'm going to suck that day, all right? We're going to step it up a notch.
Oh, the two worst teams in the division are playing, and Buck is wearing like a carpet or something.
$3,000 suit on. This is stupid. But the Met Gala, which many athletes do attend, I saw Titans legend DeAndre Hopkins. What?
That's a fine.
What?
I've got a $3,000 suit on. That's a fine.
Yeah, if you get them made, they're more expensive.
Lucas, final verdict?
It's just bad. If you're wearing a $3,000 suit for a terrible Titans football game, then that's just bad financial decisions.
It's really the only, that's a write-off, but it's really the only opportunity I have to wear suits. So I wish they would be better at football so I could dress for the occasion. But even when they're good, it's not like it's not like they're playing Sunday Night Football every other week, bud. Anyway, the Met Gala. Are you familiar with actor Timothy Chalamet?
Timmy Chal. Because we've talked about this. I think Timothy Chalamet is a childhood friend of Nashville SC midfielder Alex Muyl.
Indeed.
And I asked Alex about growing up playing soccer with me. Oh, yeah, Timmy Chal? Oh, yeah, Timmy Chal. Great guy. I was like, that's
so great to
insane to be calling him that.
Yeah. Well, Timmy Chal's bro points are going to go up, I imagine. But it made me say, oh, no, are you aware that he's dating Kylie Jenner?
I am.
Okay. So are you aware that the Knicks had a first or a game one of round 2 in the NBA playoffs last night against the Boston Celtics?
I am aware that happened.
I watched the game. Apparently, Timothy Chalamet bailed out of the Met Gala with his beautiful girlfriend, Kylie Jenner, because he's a Knicks fan, and he wanted to watch the Knicks play at the Garden. I guess at TD. It's their Garden, right? The Boston...
It's TD Garden.
TD Garden.
TD Garden.
And,
okay. Well, so, people...
Buddy, this isn't Friday Fire.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome.
I'm missing what made you say, oh, no.
He's dating Kylie Jenner, and I think for his... I know Timothy Chalamet's got options, but if I was dating Kylie Jenner, I would probably skip the Knicks game and go to the Met Gala. He went to the Knicks game. Now, the Knicks won.
This is much more Friday Fire to me than
the Knicks
no.
did win. It made me say, oh, no. I'm like, oh, come on, bud. Yeah. Like I said, he got options, but I don't know if the New York Knicks or something that... To leave Kylie Jenner for the New York Knicks is not a well-advised or a smart decision, I would think.
All-time move.
She didn't come with him?
No, she went to the Met Gala.
Okay. No, this is fantastic from Timmy Chal. This is Friday Fire. Right?
He's a real fan.
I imagine the Met Gala is at some point an unbearable experience for people like Timothy Chalamet. Like you walk the red carpet, you take all the pictures
around you.
And then what else are you doing? Like I don't know. What is the Met Gala? I don't even know what the Met Gala is. What is
the Metropolitan Museum of Art fundraiser every year?
So it's a charity thing.
Yes.
They just go and like eat dinner and stand around.
Or you pay an outrageous sum of money to have a ticket to have the privilege to eat dinner and have, sit with whomever celebrities you're going to sit with and all these other
stand around and be famous.
That's what these things are.
Yeah. No, this is Friday Fire. This is a terrible submission by you. If you were a caller, you would not win the tickets.
No, we're not doing that right now. Well, I guess we could have because I'm not going to be here Friday.
Timmy Chal loves ball. I mean, I don't
a real ball
really don't see the issue here.
That's like him showing up on game day and having preparing notes about Sam Houston State and everything else that he was breaking down. I just think Knicks over Kylie Jenner, ill-advised.
So his relationship is dead now, please. They've been to a million of these. It's fine. Go watch the Knick game. They won overtime. I mean,
in Boston.
On the road. Yeah,
come on. You got to steal the hearts of Boston fans. Yeah. I don't know. In real time.
Great move by Timmy Chal. What made me say, oh, no, in sports, the St. Louis Blues on Sunday, a Game 7 thriller against the President Trophy winning Winnipeg Jets, and the Blues had them dead to rights. 3-1 lead, 1:56 remaining in regulation. Jets pull the goalie, Connor Hellebuck to the bench. 2 6-on-5 goals, one with 1:56 to go, one with 2.2 seconds left by Cole Perfetti to tie it up, force overtime. It goes to double OT, and the Winnipeg Jets stay alive, eliminating the St. Louis Blues. That collapse with 2 minutes to go in Game 7 with the 2-goal lead is what made me say, oh no in sports this weekend.
God,
The
that's brutal.
best game of the postseason in general, NHL or NBA so far.
That's a tough one. Jackson?
Yes, mine also comes from the New York Knicks Boston Celtics game, but it's actually an oh-no. It's how terrible the Celtics three-point shooting was. They were 15 of 60
It's outrageous.
from three. They had 45 uncontested three-pointers.
It was a Vols against Kentucky-like performance.
Missed 32 of them. Uncontested, just open three-pointers, and they lose game 1 by 3.
I am... Well, and it's funny because, like, Derek White hit one of the most clutch threes I've ever seen a Celtics player hit in that moment. It was a great back and forth last night. I ended up going to overtime. I didn't stay up to watch the later game. I called it after the Knicks and the Celtics, but it was an electric start to that series, and it's a great series with a lot of hate. I love how much those two cities hate each other and how much that's reflected in their basketball teams.
So much it's worth missing the Met Gala.
Yeah,
Clearly.
fair enough.
Derek on the F&M Bank chat says Kylie Jenner is temporary. Ball is forever.
Yeah, but the Knicks, come on. I might.
They're back, baby. Bing bong. Isn't that what they say?
Oh, no, that
He
was
has
really
no
bad.
idea. He has no idea what he's talking about either. He's not on TikTok. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
No, just what the kids are saying.
Bing bong. I mean, I guess the submission could have been the Preds getting the 5th pick in the lottery last night. That's just, they're banged, man. They are just in such a terrible situation. All right, 615-737-1045. What in sports made you say, oh, no? Start with Sean.
Hey, gentlemen, good afternoon or good morning. Head scratcher by the NCAA for suspending the Michigan football coach for 2 games, but let's wait until games 3 and 4.
Well, it's
So
not I would note quickly, Sean, it's not the NCAA. It's Michigan. That's a self-imposed
Or Michigan.
suspension.
So, yeah. So
Still
we'll throw
waiting
it
on the
Michigan.
NCAA.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll retract that and say it's on Michigan, but just a head scratcher. Let's wait till games 3 and 4 to impose it.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Thank you for the call, Sean. We appreciate it. We had talked about this yesterday, Sharon Moore's suspension for games 3 and 4 of Michigan's regular season as opposed to the start of the season where they play Oklahoma. Lucas was offering the theory that it's just because Sharon Moore asked them if he could coach against his alma mater in Oklahoma. Is he getting a Josh Heupel-like welcome back? Are they going to be the subject of game day? A lot of pomp and circumstance, a lot of fireworks, whole thing?
Not quite.
Probably
He
not.
wasn't exactly a national championship winning quarterback at Oklahoma. More like a decent guard in 2006 and 7.
That's right. He's an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
That's great. Kyle is up next. Hey, Kyle.
What's going on, boys? I got you a double no. Poor Tyler Callahan for the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, my God. I saw this. It's
Yeah,
awful.
brutal.
Awful.
Turned his left arm into a S.
Oof.
But to make it worse, if you count it, he had, we'll say 3 Mississippis. He had the ball in his glove, right? Would you rule that a catch?
Yes.
Because the OB did not.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
No.
Yeah, he makes the catch and then just crumples into the
it's
wall.
so bad.
And yeah, I mean, that ball is in the glove. I wouldn't say 3 Mississippis. It just kind of drops out at the very end as he's turning, and he's clearly just in so much pain, and the ball kind of just falls out of the glove.
I mean, it's gruesome.
Yeah.
It's truly gruesome. They were playing the Braves last night in Atlanta. And so he's sprinting from his position. Callahan is sprinting from his position to try and track it down. Initially secured it, like the caller mentioned, pops free, arm fracture, while running into the nearby wall. It's just, oh, God.
It was brutal.
It's
And
one of those things. It's like Kevin Ware for Louisville. It's like Paul George for Team USA. It's just like one of those things that I wish that I could unsee.
I know. And it ends up being a 2-run inside the park homer, and the Braves go up 4-0 in the game.
So we hope he gets better soon.
Yeah, incredible effort, though.
Yes, incredible effort. Not worth it. Not worth it. Alex Doherty, speaking of the Nashville Predators and what a mess they are, the things that make us say, oh no, the Preds getting the 5th spot in the NHL draft lottery last night, which is the worst possible position they could have gotten given how bad their season was. Alex Doherty was at Barry Trotz's press conference covering it all. So we'll find out what the hell is going on with the Nashville Predators coming up next.
It is 11 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. The NHL draft lottery was held on Monday, and the Nashville Predators fell to the number 5 pick in the draft. The New York Islanders won the lottery. They will pick number 1. The draft starts June 27th in Los Angeles. Preds general manager Barry Trotz held his end-of-season presser Monday afternoon before the lottery, and he remains committed to Preds head coach Andrew Brunette after his second season where the Preds finished second to last in the Central.
Good young people, when you believe in them, just like a good young player, you stick with them. And Andrew Brunette is just like a young player. We could have did the easy thing, make a change and see if we can get a bump up, whatever. I didn't do that. I believe in developing people. I believe he's a good young coach. He's a good young hockey mind, and Andrew's going to work hard to find the solution.
In NFL news, the Baltimore Ravens have released kicker Justin Tucker after 13 seasons. The team made the announcement in a statement Monday. Tucker is currently the subject of an NFL investigation into allegations of improper conduct during massage therapy sessions. He has denied any misconduct. Nashville Soccer Club begins its U.S. Open Cup campaign tonight in the round of 32, hosting Chattanooga Red Wolves at Geodis Park. Kickoff at 7 p.m. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Nashville Predators fans are down tremendous. They've suffered one of the worst hockey seasons that they've had in quite some time, arguably ever. They go into the NHL draft lottery last night with a little bit of hope. You feel all right, at least you got a percentage chance at the number 1 overall pick, something that can change the fortunes of your franchise. Hell, the Titans just benefited from, or we think are going to benefit from, the exact same thing, and yet they end up in the worst possible lottery slot that they could have gotten, the 5th overall pick in this year's NHL draft. They do have multiple first-round picks, but it's going to be tough sledding for a franchise that's trying to figure it out, that we thought had it figured out last year, and then proceeded to go on one of the worst campaigns that they've ever put on the ice. Alex Doherty of the Tennessean is here with us now. He was at Barry Trotz's end-of-season press conference to kind of recap things, to see if there were any updates or any changes that might be made. And, Alex, from everything that I was able to discern from that press conference, it sounds like Barry's just going to run it back with Andrew Brunette.
That's right. That's almost exactly what's going to happen. Even the assistant coaches, sounds like they're all coming back. The roster from the third worst roster in the NHL last year is largely going to return. There may be a couple changes, but I don't anticipate any major ones. They will obviously add at least one good young player in the draft this year as they're picking number 5. But yeah, they are essentially running it back with one of the worst franchise records of all time, and for them, and considering the expectations going into the season, I would argue the worst season they've ever had, because the expectations were to maybe win a round in the playoffs, and they finished third last. So it is an interesting decision, but if you dissect into it, there are some things that make sense. And at the very least, we know that this next season sets up a pretty important season for Trotz himself. Not just for Brunette, not just for the players, but for Trotz himself. But I went into yesterday's press conference anticipating almost exactly what happened, that he was going to say that he's keeping Brunette, that he believes in his good young coach, that he believes that the roster had a bad season this year, but that won't continue, and that they will adjust and figure out ways to improve. You can debate whether that's a good decision or a bad decision, but I will say another way to look at this is essentially Andrew Brunette has about 2 more months, right? It's not like Barry Trotz locked himself into – it's not like he came out there and announced a contract extension, right? He basically said he's keeping him around. But if the first 2 months of next season go poorly, he's going to fire Burnett. There's no doubt about that. So Andrew Burnett's going to be on the top of the leaderboard in terms of coaches on the hot seat going into next season. That's what's happened. Andrew Burnett is the coach, at least for the next 2 months. When we get to Thanksgiving, we'll see. But if they have another bad start, he's going to be gone.
How the hell do these two franchises, the two top professional franchises in the city, continue to mirror each other? Because you basically just, it sounded like you just described Brian Callahan's circumstance.
I know. Yeah,
with
exactly.
The Tennessee Titans. Go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, and not only that, but the draft lottery last night, anyone who watches Nashville sports knew exactly what was going to happen in that draft lottery, that the Nashville Predators were going to get the worst possible outcome, the fifth overall pick, as opposed to winning it. Everyone knew that, right?
I mean, it seems like one of the two has to be a disaster at any given point for the city to operate as if things are normal. All right, so you've explained to me the parts about Burnett's retention that make sense. What makes the least amount of sense based on what Barry Trotz had to say yesterday?
Okay, so the biggest, I think the biggest contradiction, I think, is he talked about Jonathan Marchessault, and I don't know how much you're aware of what Jonathan Marchessault said at his end-of-season press availability, but essentially, Jonathan Marchessault called out Andrew Burnett. He didn't call him out by name, but he said that the offense didn't work, that there were not enough adjustments made in terms of the tactics on the ice. Marchessault had one of his worst seasons ever. Of course, a lot of players did, but the offense was almost dead last in the league. So he's not wrong about any of this. But it's pretty rare in hockey for a player to call out the coach in that manner. In addition to that, Marchessault, in the same breath, talked about how much he loved his former coach, Bruce Cassidy, in Vegas. He said Bruce Cassidy was a really great hockey mind and was really good at adjusting and was always willing to make changes. So it was kind of spicy for hockey. Other sports may have spicier content, but for hockey, that was a dose of spice. So yesterday, Barry Trotz talks about that and says, look, we got to have some buy-in. We got to have players who believe in the system. We know that there's going to be disagreements. We know there's going to be some players who don't like it as much. I just don't think that Barry Trotz did a good job of selling the fact that he can go into next season with Andrew Burnett as coach and a guy like Jonathan Marchessault on the team who seems to really dislike the setup and just think that it's going to be okay and that this next year will be just fine. To me, that doesn't make sense. Does it suggest that he's considering moving Jonathan Marchessault? Possibly. That's going to be hard to do because Marchessault has a no trade clause, or he has the kind of trade clause where he can list the teams that he wants to go to. So it's not like they can't move him. He would just have to approve it. So could that happen? Maybe. I think that's possible. But that's the part yesterday that just didn't make sense. He seemed to think, we believe in our coach. We also believe in our players, even when our players and coaches don't believe in each other. So that was the biggest issue to me.
Alex Doherty of the Tennessean here with us on 104.5 The Zone. I guess when I see things like that occur, Alex, where a player in a locker room is comfortable, and a player of note, maybe he's not the best player on the team, but a player of note is comfortable offering that kind of a statement to the media. I mean, I just saw it happen in Memphis with John Morant and Taylor Jenkins. And Taylor Jenkins ends up on the wrong side of that deal. In the NFL, I wouldn't say that it happens super often, but if a star quarterback decides that he wants to publicly display his displeasure about a coaching situation, we'll just take Joe Burrow and the Bengals defense this year. Lou Anarumo, their defensive coordinator, gets fired. Why is this situation different? Is Marchessault just not a famous or important enough player to have that kind of juice? I'm confused.
There could be something to that. I think in the hockey world, Marchessault is a pretty big name. I mean, I think the bigger thing is this: for 7 years, Marchessault was in Vegas and was a huge part of that team's initial start. Right? Not only was he a part of that team in making them a competitor, but he helped them win a Stanley Cup. He won the Conn Smythe Trophy. He was an original misfit. I mean, he was Mr. Vegas Golden Knight. And then he leaves and comes to Nashville and has the worst season ever. So I think he's adjusting to that. So I think that's part of it. But I think there's something too that Marchessault is not the only one who had these feelings, but he definitely voiced them in a different way. One other thing that Trotz said about Brunette that I thought was interesting, it was part of his explanation of what he wants Brunette to adjust and what he wants to, as he said, add to his tool belt. Is he essentially said that Brunette is too nice. He said that Brunette is a very nice, likable guy, but that maybe when it came time to hold players accountable and call them out for not playing the right way or not playing hard enough or not making the right decisions, that he didn't do that enough. I think there's something, too, that some of these older guys like Marchessault and Stamkos and probably Yossi and Forsberg, like, they kind of need a more in-your-face, yell-at-you kind of coach. And Brunette really isn't that. He's of the younger generation of coaches that are more player-oriented and definitely more teachers and learners. You know, they're not the fiery bag skate kind of guys. I think there's something interesting there. I think Brunette's going to have to find maybe he's going to have to tap into his dark side, right? He's going to have to find a way to punish guys for not playing the right way. And I know a lot of people don't pay attention to the ins and outs of the everyday regular season, but there was more than one time this season that Marchessault just was very visibly not present on the ice. He was making lazy passes. He was not back checking. He was not playing the game the right way. And yet he never came out of the lineup. At least not for a coach's decision. So maybe there's something there. Like Brunette needs to go into next year, and if Marchessault has a bad game, punish him, sit him, change his ice time, do something, get in his face about it. I think there's something there. So that could be a something to watch, especially early on next year with how Brunette kind of coaches his team.
Alex Doherty of the Tennessean with us. So going back to what you said, Alex, about Andrew Brunette really only having a couple of months at the start of the season to show that this thing is turning around. I go back to hearing Barry Trotz yesterday talking about the different pace at which some of his most successful teams when he was coaching came together. He talked about that President's Trophy winning team, that they came together much quicker, won the President's Trophy, and then flamed out in the playoffs, and then obviously the Cup winning team in Washington. He said didn't come together until game 30 or 40. So doesn't that feel a little, I don't know, counterintuitive? Like, how often does this work to have that leash to say, yeah, we're giving you next year, but we're really only giving you October, November, and maybe December? It just doesn't feel like it's a recipe for success, Alex.
I see what you're saying. I think if you treat this next 2 months as an extension of this season, then it really is kind of like maybe like 100 games as opposed to just the first 20, right? I mean, I know that's a little unfair. You're kind of bending the rules a little bit, but I almost look at it like if they don't come out and are like a good team, like competitive and actually winning games, then you can probably say like Brunette's not the guy. You can get away with chalking this year up to a lot of transitions that didn't work with Marchessault and Stamkos coming in, both players coming off of in fantastic careers with their old teams and not adjusting well. And then like a lot of the young players, the key to last year's failure to me was Tommy Novak at center just being absolutely the worst possible option, and he just did not work, and they traded him away. So I think that yes, they need to give him a little bit more time, but I think if you treat this next couple months of the first season as an extension of this season, then it's enough to say, okay, this is not working. We need to figure out another way around this. So, especially considering the roster is going to look almost identical. I mean, you're going to see a lot of the same names out there.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, sitting there with the veteran contracts that you have, you can't help but feel sandbagged at this point by the Saros deal with how poorly he played last season. With the number 5 overall pick, what is the likelihood of getting a player in that can help you sooner rather than later? And how much wiggle room do they have to add any sort of improvement? Or is it really just run it back and hope it works this time?
I think they're going to make at least one change on defense. They really, Trotz talked a lot yesterday about how much he did not like the way the defense played. I think they're going to make a change there. I don't know what that's going to look like. They have kind of a lot of movable pieces. They have some pieces they can either just cut or trade for not much. There's the options on the market are not great options, but it could be a trade too. He talked about making a hockey trade a couple times yesterday, meaning like a player for player trade. So maybe they do something like that, similar to in the middle of the season they traded Alex Carrier for Justin Barron. Maybe they do something similar. They trade one of their defensemen to get a different kind of a defenseman. So you could see that, but yeah, there's not a lot of wiggle room. The number 5 pick in this particular draft, like obviously you always want to win the number 1 pick, but if you're going to lose a number 1 pick, this would be the draft to do it, because the consensus number 1 is a defenseman who you don't really need, and there's not a generational talent at center, which is always what they've always needed. There's a lot of guys that could turn into some nice offensive pieces. There's a guy named Porter Martone who would be really good. There's another guy named James Hagans who plays for Boston College. He's a good player. There's a guy named Roger McQueen who I think they really like. These are names that I think you would probably see pretty early on play for Nashville. In the same way that, Scott Hartnell, when they drafted him, he started as an 18-year-old. David Legwand, of course, started as an 18-year-old or 19-year-old, I think. But like, those are not names that are going to, Scott Hartnell, David Legwand, those are not like, that's not Connor McDavid, Connor Bedard. That's not Austin Matthews. Those are good players who are not excellent players. So it's not going to be, you're not going to turn on the TV and be like, oh my gosh, Porter Martone has taken over this team and he's going to be the perennial 50-goal scorer they've always needed. You're not going to see anything like that, but you're going to see a guy that maybe shows up in the lineup every now and then and does some things and is good. But yeah, largely you're going to see this almost exact roster next year. So you just have to hope that somehow they don't lose almost 50 games.
Alex, I'm struck again and again in listening to your analysis. Do you and Nick Suss over there that covers the Titans, you guys ever talk about how similar this is? I mean, even down to the draft and the way that people are talking about the NFL draft that we just went through. And there was some dispute about Cam Ward as the number 1 overall pick. Ultimately, there ended up being no dispute about Cam Ward as the number 1 overall pick, but still.
Coaches are too nice.
Callahan,
right?
he doesn't get in their ass enough. It's bizarre. I don't know if there was some kind of blood oath struck between these two franchises that, like, listen, hey, if we're going to suck, let's both suck horribly at the same time, and we'll see just how close, how many parallels we can draw. They sound like the exact same damn franchise, except, be honest, I at least have an idea of the direction the Titans are trying to go. I could not possibly tell you what the hockey team is doing.
Yeah, I think that's the big difference. Suss and I talk about this a lot, that there are a lot of similarities. I think the direction is the key, right? Whereas I think the Titans have maybe kind of figured it out. I'm not going to go too far and say they have figured it out. Maybe they figured it out with the quarterback, and at least they have a GM, there, and they've figured that out. And I don't know much about their ownership and all that stuff, but obviously the Predators, it's like Barry Trotz is just kind of winging it right now. We're not exactly sure if the plan is exactly what he wanted or if he's going to change it tomorrow. So yeah, if this can make any Titans fan feel better, I think the Titans have a little bit better plan moving forward than the Predators, which is very odd.
Well, you listen to Barry Trotz speak, Alex, and you can't help but feel like you're listening to a coach and not a general manager, right? He's talking about buy-in from the players. He's talking about just the way that he carries himself, and it makes sense. He has spent the vast majority of his hockey life as a coach, a largely successful one. But I guess my question is, he is clearly thinking back to his early days as the Preds coach and the amount of patience he was given, right, by David Poile, those dreadful early years. But it's also such a different situation where the Preds were an expansion side, and expansion teams then were given far less advantages than expansion teams are now in the NHL. I just wonder if it's just a bit of a misguided approach. Even if Andrew Burnett could be a great coach down the road, the situation right now is what it is. And I just wonder about thinking that development is going to come within the next few months. Like, how do you judge the Barry Trotz experience? What do you make of it so far as a GM?
You're exactly right. And not only that, when Barry Trotz was first coaching this team in 1998, you could go to a Predators game for $10, $15. I mean, you could get in the building for super cheap. Try getting into a Nashville Predators game for less than $10 now. You can't do it. The circumstances around what this team is in Nashville now are just dramatically different. The value of the franchise has gone way up. Ticket sales are much higher. I mean, ticket prices are much higher. So in other words, the fans demand more. I mean, they're paying $200-300 to get in with their families, and another 100 or so on top of that for concessions to go see them lose 6-1. I mean, it's just the circumstances are much different. Barry Trotz does rely on that experience early on, where it took him 6 seasons to make the playoffs and another 6 seasons to win a round. Imagine that. 12 years as a coach before you even win a round in the playoffs. That's insane. That would never happen today. I mean, in any sport. And so I think he's relying on that a little too much. Andrew Brunette really is probably tremendously grateful that he has Trotz as his GM, because any other GM, Brunette probably would have been gone last Christmas. I think that's where we are with Trotz. Like, does he think that he can keep managing this team based on what the league was 20 years ago? Or is he going to find a way to manage the team in 2025 where instant changes, instant reward, instant success is more important in a league that you need to have success in? Like, you cannot wallow in the middle. You can't stay too long at the bottom. Otherwise, you're gonna have a huge mess on your hands. So look, the franchise is not in any trouble of folding or anything, but you've got to make this work. You've got to find a way to make this partnership with Trotz and the new ownership with Bill Haslam work. Otherwise, the fan base is going to quickly, evaporate, and it's going to be hard to get that back.
Thanks for the time, buddy. It was a really good segment with you. It's always good to catch up with you, but it's such a fascinating microcosm of our sports experience in this city, it appears, between the Titans and the Preds and all the similarities.
Let me ask you a question. Did you watch the draft lottery last night? Did you understand what was going on?
No,
not a chance.
No, I was watching playoff basketball. I read about it this morning.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm curious because I watched it. I knew it was happening, but I've heard from a lot of people that they were very confused and they did not know how it was happening. But I guess I should have known. You weren't probably watching that. You were probably watching it.
I knew you were going to be on today. I was like, I'll just read what he writes in the morning and be ready to go. Lucas threw up his hands in exasperation over the draft lottery in particular. Did you actually watch that?
Yes, and I have no idea, Alex. Like, just the concept of a lottery in general with
now
the
I'm
NBA.
Curious. I feel like I should have watched just so I could be as confused as everybody else.
I think the issue is they tried to make it transparent as possible so that you can see how it's not rigged. And I think there's no way you could watch it and think that it's rigged. I don't think you could I don't think there's any way you could rig it. It was so convoluted. Like, how could you possibly?
I just love that concept. Not rigged. Totally not rigged over here.
Not rigged. They got a sign. They got the dude with a sign from New York holding up. Totally not rigged. Just unbelievable.
That's exactly right. No, I like what they're doing. I like that they're trying to make it transparent, but boy, I think it really confused a lot of people and just didn't really solve the issue of possibly thinking that it could be rigged.
Even reading about it this morning, I'm like, why can't a team jump more than 10 spots in the lottery by percentage? Like, I was a little bit uneasy with the subject matter, but that's because we dip our toe in hockey every 6 months around here.
I think they don't want a situation where a team barely misses the playoffs. They finish 16th. They're the last team out of the playoffs, and then somehow they luck into the number 1 overall pick. They want to give some reward to the bottom 5. But, it's just like last night was a luck of the draw. Utah finished 14th and got all the way up to 4th, and New York Islanders finished 10th and got all the way up to 1st. So.
Not lucky if you're a Preds fan. Alex Doherty, he's doing great work for the Tennessean. He has been on the scene for all of the ins and outs of this season, and will be a fascinating offseason ahead as well. Thank you for the time, buddy. We do appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much. Talk to you later.
That's Alex Doherty with us on 104.5 The Zone. I can't get over how similar all of this is.
It is weird.
I feel, I don't have to watch a shred of hockey to understand everything that just happened with the Nashville Predators this year.
Yeah, but to his point, with the Titans, who knows if it'll work, but you can see what they are trying to do. It's
never been more defined for them than it is right now.
Like, there's upside,
yes,
right? With the Preds right now, how often does this work? Let's just try it again and hope that it doesn't turn out disastrously this time? I don't know, man. And in a way, they're hamstrung. With the Saros contract and Stamkos, and they are hamstrung with a lot of these players, but it doesn't inspire confidence.
But who hamstrung them, but themselves.
Right.
They gave
Sure.
UC Saros that contract. We all looked around and we're like, what about the Russian kid? Wait, what's wrong with him? I know he's a bit of a, he got a bit of an attitude problem, but like figure it out. If he's a good enough player, don't give the undersized goalie an 8-year deal and then expect for him to be, I just feel like he's already overachieved, UC Saros, based on what my expectation was for him coming in under Pecorine and everything after that. What a mess. Woo! 615-737-1045 is the number. Pivot to a little bit of University of Tennessee. There were a bunch of Vols. Well, there weren't that many Vols, actually, that got drafted. There's some interesting landing spots here, and I think Lucas has some questions about the guys who didn't even find UDFA homes coming up next.
It's almost lunchtime. I don't know about you, but for me, it's my favorite time of the day, especially when it means that Hattie B's is in my future. The best hot chicken around in a family-run restaurant that serves up your favorite Southern food. The authentic Nashville hot chicken is the headliner. Hand-breaded, cooked to order. Add your spice level. Hot or not, everything in between with your favorite piece of chicken, tender sandwich wings, or the half bird if you're really hungry. We were there a couple of weeks ago for a little team lunch. Robert Walsh destroyed the half bird, and every bite filled with spiced, juicy fried chicken and the best sides in town. Southern greens, pimento mac and cheese, bacon, cheese grits, and so much more. Download the Hattie B's app today. You get a few things by doing that. Number one, you get to skip the line, walk in, grab your famous Hattie B's hot chicken and head back to the office or order it for delivery. And also, if you download the app, you get a free dessert simply by doing so. Visit any one of their Middle Tennessee locations, the factory at Franklin, Lower Broadway, Melrose, Midtown, Nashville West, even the Nashville Airport, and go to Hattie B's today.
Lucas was out last week. We didn't do a lot of college football without him. Probably in everybody's best interest. But the thing that we did while you were out with Ramon is we talked about where the Tennessee Vols happen to land in the NFL draft. Now, not too many ended up getting drafted. I mean, I suppose it doesn't matter as long as you have guys that you can cite and say, like, oh, we send X amount of players to the NFL every year, or we're sending X amount of players on average to the NFL every year. It feels like that's something that a program needs to have to make sure that they can continue to recruit or use it as a part of their recruiting pitch. Now, for Tennessee this year, you had James Pierce go in the first round, as is well documented, the trade up for Atlanta to get their desperately needed pass rusher. Omar Norman Lott went in the second round to Kansas City, and I was a bit surprised that he went as high as he did, given he's just not played a lot of football, to be completely honest with you. And I understand why that is, because of Tennessee's defensive line depth and rotation and the way that they deploy those guys. But second round pick, you must really like the player and also like the circumstance that he's landing in, right? You got, who's the pass rusher out of Purdue? Karlaftis. You've got Chris Jones, obviously. There's some quality defensive players there, and Casey is trying to keep that side of the ball upright. Dante Thornton, fourth round of the Raiders. It was interesting. Bruce Feldman came on here last week while you were gone and asked if Al Davis was still running their draft by drafting Dante Thornton in the fourth round where they did. And Dylan Sampson, the last of the 4 Vols draft picks, he goes as the second running back that they take to the Cleveland Browns after the Ohio State running back. Not Judkins, the other one. Henderson, Travion Henderson.
No, it was Judkins.
Henderson went to the Patriots.
Yeah.
Okay, got it straight. Anyway, so those are the 4 that got drafted. Now, the UDFAs were also interesting there. But I guess let's start with the guys who got drafted. Which landing spot did you like the most for the Vols?
I think it's the one that had Bruce Feldman questioning if Al Davis is still running the Raiders draft room.
Really?
I think it's really interesting where Dante Thornton landed. But before I tell you why, quick reminder to join us tomorrow as we broadcast live from Parman Tractor and Equipment.
Who, us?
That's right.
Okay.
You, me, Robert Walsh, if he can emerge from his cave of sickness. We will be out at Dickerson Pike, Parman Tractor and Equipment, your authorized Takeuchi excavator and track loader dealer. For more info, visit 1045thezone.com/events and come by and see us tomorrow. So you look at all 4 of these. If I had to rank them, I'd probably rank Dante Thornton 1, James Pierce Jr. 2, Omar Norman Lott 3, Dylan Sampson 4.
I'm so confused by that.
Dylan Sampson.
I would have had him last.
Dante Thornton?
Yes.
I've got Dylan Sampson last because I feel like he's going to have the biggest uphill battle to get playing time and get reps. Quinshon Judkins drafted well ahead of him. What is Nick Chubb's situation for 2025?
He's not on the roster there,
free agent.
Yeah,
he's a free agent, man.
Again, I take every opportunity to talk about running backs that wash out, and I know Nick Chubb had a successful career, but like Derrick Henry, I continue to be impressed with Derrick Henry that he just outlasts all of these running backs.
I'm just intrigued at what the Raiders' depth chart looks like in the receiver room and how Dante Thornton could factor in. Because you look at it right now, who's the most accomplished wide receiver on that roster?
Oh, the guy from the Patriots.
Jacoby Myers. That wide receiver room
is a 1,000-yard receiver, so like nothing to shrug his shoulders
nothing to scoff at. And then Brock Bowers is right up there, arguably the best weapon. Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker. They drafted Jack Besh out of TCU.
Who a lot of people like.
Kyle Phillips is a Raider, in case we forgot. And Dante Thornton.
He's an Eagle.
Kyle Phillips is a Raider. He was an Eagle last year.
But he wasn't a free agent.
Kyle Phillips, looking it up now, is a wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders. He was signed in February.
Off waivers?
I guess so. Let's see.
Because he was
trying to find the transaction
for the Eagles. I guess that doesn't mean that they have to pick up his contract.
He was signed in February by the Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay.
So Dante Thornton is going to have every opportunity to bring kind of a speed element, just a pure burner to that offense with Geno Smith at quarterback and Chip Kelly calling plays. I just feel like he's going to have the biggest opportunity for success at the wide receiver position, and it's something that Tennessee needs to happen. They need a receiver to pop in the Heupel era in the NFL. Now, James Pierce Jr. also is going to have every opportunity, right? The Falcons have gone so long without
start.
Yeah, so you could easily put James Pierce Jr. at the top of this list as well. I mean, they need him to be good. The Atlanta Falcons do. And Omar Norman-Lott no doubt lands in a decent spot, but I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity there for Dante Thornton for an offense that's going to throw it around, and just a lack of just not really a solidified trio at wide receiver. And Tennessee also needs him, needs him to do that for the sake of Josh Heupel and his offense and the way things trickle down in recruiting. Maybe best landing spot. I'm going to say most intriguing landing spot for me.
Okay,
is Thornton to Vegas.
I would have said no Norman Lott just because of who he's surrounded by in that position.
Go play for Steve. You get drafted by the Chiefs. It's like being recruited by Nick Saban when he was at Alabama. You're probably going to end up with the ring.
And you picked the player that is going to be competing with the Chiefs in the division. So I did not, but I understand your meaning.
Purely, yeah, from an individual opportunity standpoint.
All right, so Amari Thomas ends up as a UDFA with the Saints. Elijah Simmons with the Cardinals. Will Brooks goes to the Chiefs. And then Brew McCoy and Cooper Mays don't get picked up in undrafted rookie free agency. And I just wanted to give you 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds to expand upon that.
Okay, I'll take 90. I was surprised. Probably more surprised by Brew McCoy.
Were you surprised that Ramon Foster was not surprised by either of them?
Really?
Because Ramon came in here, did a segment with me, and was like, yeah, I wasn't surprised by it.
I haven't had a chance to talk to Ramon about it. I mean, I get Cooper Mays is undersized. He didn't get a combine invite. But you're talking about a guy that was a team captain, that was a finalist for the Remington Trophy, awarded to the best center in college football. What, like 45 career starts under his belt, 54 or something appearances? Just surprised that he doesn't find a landing spot. Maybe he still will. And the Brew McCoy has all the size that you want. He's not a burner. He went to the Senior Bowl, didn't really flash, but I had seen some draft experts talk about him as an interesting developmental day 3 guy at wide receiver. You know, just guys of his size and stature don't grow on trees. Interesting possession receiver option in the NFL. I'm going to keep talking. You're going to have to go.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's 30 seconds. His microphone's off even, too.
If you had told me that neither of those guys would get picked up.
You're so loud. I'm Buck Reisig. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. It's just about lunchtime, and maybe lunchtime for some of you. It's not too late. Download the Hattie B's app, mobile order some Hattie B's directly to you. We're going to take a look at this. It's not a story necessarily, but it was an interesting note that Lucas brought up about Nico Iamaleava and his recruiting class, the class of 2023. Arch Manning is getting ready to start his upcoming season at Texas. He's being projected as the number 1 overall draft pick. That seems foolish because you have no idea if Arch is even going to come out, much less whether he's going to live up to number 1 overall draft pick status. But we don't have to have that conversation. What about this 2023 class intrigued you? Because, of course, it includes Nico Iamaleava.
Yeah, I'm obviously not the first to recognize this, but of the top 8 quarterbacks in the class of 2023, according to 247 Sports, one of the top 8 have not transferred from their initial landing spot. And that one is Arch Manning, who was ranked by 247 as the number 1 QB in this class. Nico was ranked number 2, obviously now at UCLA. Dante Moore was at number 3. He started at UCLA. He is now at Oregon. Jackson Arnold at 4, started at Oklahoma. He's now at Auburn. Malachi Nelson at 5 has had a wildest, but the one after him has definitely had the wildest. Malachi Nelson started at USC, goes to Boise State, gets beat out by Maddox Madston in a quarterback competition, and he is now at UTEP. This is a 5-star prospect that committed to Lincoln Riley in USC. Jaden Rashada has definitely had the wildest path, going from, Florida and the NIL thing there, and then Arizona State, and then Georgia, then he sues Florida, and he's currently in the transfer portal. And then Aiden Childs and Austin Mack round out the top 8, neither of them at the place where they started. So it's just insane to look at this as the norm. And Arch Manning, who was already kind of the exception from the very beginning, everything he's done in his recruitment to now has been unique. He's done it as a Manning, right? He did it like Eli and Peyton did. He did it very old school. So you almost remove him from the discussion because he's just sort of his own thing. And just taking a step back and looking at it. And all of these guys moved for various reasons, right? And Nico, we understand. We don't have to relitigate that. Jackson Arnold lost his job, quickly fell out of favor at Oklahoma. They moved on. The Rashada saga has had a path of its own. I don't know what happened with Malachi Nelson to go from 5-star committed to Lincoln Riley to getting beat out at Boise and now having to go to UTEP. What a wild path the 2023 quarterback class has taken.
It brings up something that I've thought about from a different perspective, and mostly because of Cam Ward, to be honest with you, who transferred 2 different times from Incarnate Word to Wazoo, from Wazoo to Miami. How much this actually benefits them. There's always going to be cautionary tales. Nico Iamaleava is a cautionary tale. Once you start to mess with your money, or if your people start to mess with your money, you want to make sure that you have the correct people around you guiding you throughout the course of this process, or you could stand to lose a hell of a lot of money. Nico has basically had his, I guess you could call it a salary, even though he's not an employee. He's had his NIL valuation earnings cut by
significantly,
almost 2/3. After you do the California taxation situation, from him going from Knoxville, Tennessee to Cal.
UCLA. Are you saying Cal as in the state of California?
No. I misspoke. You're correct. UCLA. I have Cal on the brain because of Marcus Harris, the Titans' 6th-round pick at corner. But I am curious to know, and this is probably something you have to ask these players 5-10 years down the road after they've had some life experience and have the opportunity to reflect back on their decisions that were made. I'm sure 30 for 30 or whatever, who's ever making a sports documentary, whether it's Untold or 30 for 30, somebody will do something on this period of time that we are currently in. Whether it ended up benefiting players more than it hurt players, because there's plenty of examples on both sides. I think there's a certain element of, it can prepare you for real life in the NFL. To go through the transfer situation, to understand what it is to basically have to take over a locker room sight unseen as a player being dropped in to the situation, especially where people know how much money you're making and how that, essentially has you growing up faster throughout the course of your collegiate athletic career than it might otherwise have. Now, I understand that these are still high-stakes jobs, no matter how much money was or was not attached to them prior to NIL at the time, but I do think that there's valuable lessons to be learned and benefits from transferring the way that some of these guys are. I just don't know if the cost won't end up outweighing the benefit for a lot of these, at least early phase transfer type of guys.
A lot of these are still TBD, but it is interesting to go down this list of just these top 8 quarterbacks and say which one of them are better off than what they were doing in their first landing spot. Because I'd say Dante Moore is. He starts at UCLA for Chip Kelly, and Chip Kelly obviously now is in the NFL after a successful stint calling plays for Ohio State.
And was not successful at UCLA.
Right. And Dante Moore is locked into a QB battle at Oregon. He could very well be the starter for Dan Lanning this year. If he is, then he absolutely is better off. Jaden Rashada is not. Malachi Nelson certainly is not. Aiden Childs is. He goes to Oregon State, has success. His coach gets hired by Michigan State, and now he's the starting quarterback at Michigan State. Austin Mack starts at Washington. He is now in the quarterback battle at Alabama, where Ty Simpson is kind of in the driver's seat. And then Jackson Arnold, just kind of TBD. We'll see.
Nico,
I would not say is in a better spot. We'll see if he has a better season. That could happen. But it's hard to look at
financially from a competitive standpoint, from a draft visibility standpoint. If that's something that's still a part of his long-term goal, it's tough to make the argument that Nico is now in a better position of he and his camp's own making.
Yeah, so it makes for an interesting conversation. More often than not, are players being helped or hurt by transferring? Because you make a good point. Like the idea of being dropped into new situations, new locker rooms, having to adjust quickly, it does prepare you for life in the NFL. But I feel like that should not hold priority, though. The priority should be development as a player. Like, worry about being developed as a player that's good enough to go to the NFL before you're prepared to get dropped into a locker room and get integrated with your new teammates.
Would you steal Nick Saban's talking points?
Like, worry about being,
that's
almost everything. Almost everything he says, I agree with.
No,
so maybe I did, but
I know.
Worry about being good enough to go to the NFL first.
I think that a lot of that is going to end up getting lost in the shuffle because of the money. Most pressingly because of the money. Because I would agree with you. It is more important to focus on your development as a player long term and which place is going to set you up for that best version of yourself, that best developmental situation, while also trying to achieve at the highest level, trying to win conference championships, trying to win a national championship, trying to, be the best version of yourself for you and for your teammates, all those different things. But how many of these coaches will tell people who talk to college football coaches or college position coaches on the regular that the first conversation they're having when they sit in living rooms now is about the money? So it's inherently going to, you can't avoid that part of it. It's just how many players are going to have the presence of mind and how many players who have family who are going to be self-aware enough to be like, yes, I understand that you see a greater dollar sign figure in front of you, but is that actually what's going to put you in the best possible position to succeed? It's going to take a rare combination of those things, I think, and more cautionary tales, unfortunately, the likes of Nico Iamaleava to kind of scare some people straight as far as what could happen to you if you gamble on yourself, but your leverage is not what you think your leverage is. And I was for Nico trying to leverage his situation. I was not privy to all the details that made it way messier than I could have ever envisioned. But my mistake, I think, with the Nico story was treating it like an NFL situation. Oh, you're a quarterback. You are more valuable than anybody else out there. You are more important than anybody else out there. You should take advantage of that and try and leverage your situation. Not understanding all the different layers that you have to deal with at the college level that would further complicate that leveraging type of situation. Coming up next, Mike Sando is going to join us. He writes anonymous executive pieces for the NFC and the AFC, and we're going to get a look at what some anonymous AFC executives had to say about what the Titans have done so far this offseason. Mike Sando will join us next.
Hey guys, it's Lucas. I want to tell you about this spot in Music City. It is Fog Street Lawn Club. It is Nashville's premier soccer pub, so it's your go-to spot to watch Nashville SC games. Tonight, Nashville starting U.S. Open Cup action against Chattanooga Red Wolves. Go check it out on that beautiful rooftop at Fog Street. They're also open early on weekends for Premier League games, even those 6 a.m. kickoffs. But no matter the sport, NHL, NBA playoffs, Fog Street Lawn Club, make sure you won't miss a moment. Already mentioned the rooftop. It's the most picture-perfect rooftop view of downtown Nashville you will find, I promise you. TV's up there, sit at the bar with a great drink selection and British pub-style food menu, or head downstairs. There's plenty of space, TVs all around. You can do some axe throwing right next door at Bad Axe. You can also play lawn bowling and cornhole on the rooftop. You never get bored at Fog Street Lawn Club. It's family-friendly, great for all sports fans. You can even host special events like birthday parties or corporate events, and they've got a great lineup of concerts coming up this summer on that gorgeous rooftop. Check out Happy Hour Monday through Thursday, 3 to 6 p.m., and come see us at Fog Street Lawn Club. It is 12 o'clock. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzika. The NHL Draft Lottery was held Monday, and the Nashville Predators fell to the number 5 pick in the 2025 draft. The Islanders won the lottery. They will pick number 1. The draft starts June 27th in L.A. Preds GM Barry Trotz held his end-of-season presser Monday afternoon before the lottery and remains committed to Preds head coach Andrew Burnett after a season where Nashville finished second to last in the Central. In NFL news, the Baltimore Ravens have released kicker Justin Tucker after 13 seasons. The team made the announcement in a statement Monday. Tucker currently the subject of an NFL investigation into allegations of improper conduct during massage therapy sessions. He has denied any misconduct. In college basketball news, Florida coach Todd Golden, fresh off of leading the Gators to a national title, has agreed to a 6-year, $40.5 million contract extension that'll keep him in Gainesville through the 2030-2031 season. And Nashville Soccer Club begins its U.S. Open Cup campaign tonight in the round of 32. They host Chattanooga Red Wolves at Geodis Park. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour of the program for the day, and we're very pleased to be joined by Mike Sando of The Athletic to get things going. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Mike does all manner of great pieces for theathletic.com. His latest on the heels, I guess we're about, almost 2 weeks removed from the NFL draft, but he goes through and he talks to anonymous executives and gets thoughts on both the AFC teams and how they drafted and the NFC teams, and does 2 separate articles on them. Mike joins us now on 104.5 The Zone. We appreciate you taking the time as always, buddy. Most polarizing AFC draft that you talk to an executive or executives plural about?
Oh, well, I think you'd probably say Jacksonville a little bit, just because of the how much they gave up to move up was, nobody thought that was probably the right thing to do. You're moving up 3 spots for a non-quarterback and giving up a future one when, your quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, remains kind of unproven, has had a couple concussions recently. That could easily be a top 10 pick. They don't see it that way, but I thought that was probably one, even though everybody loves Travis Hunter as their top pick, just the process behind that. And then the other one would be Cleveland, just because of how they handle the quarterbacks.
The Travis Hunter situation, and James Gladstone is the first-year general manager there, doing things, of the Rams organization, right? They don't do 30 visits in the pre-draft. They orchestrate things differently. It was very much a bleep them picks type of approach to the Travis Hunter trade. Obviously, because they're in the division, and we'll talk about the Titans and the Jags twice a year around here, I'm just so fascinated to see how they go about trying to correct the wrongs with that organization, because theoretically they should be closer than the Colts or the Titans to trying to at least take a run at Houston in this division, Mike.
Yes, I lost you for a second, so I'm turning up your volume. Gladstone, got the it's interesting to me, the GM pipeline is different than coaches. I think with coaches, we can kind of see what people are doing. You say, hey, they want this guy because he was a hot coordinator. With GMs, you sort of don't know. They connect with the front office or they connect with the owner, and suddenly James Gladstone out of nowhere at age 34 is the GM of the team. And we're all scrambling to figure out, okay, what's he going to do? What was his role with the Rams? I think they clearly wanted to make a splash. And so that was another component of this too, which, dovetails a little bit with Tennessee in just setting the expectations for the player you draft. I think that, if James Gladstone had been through 10 more drafts or had been in that chair before, he might have tempered a little bit the way he talked about Travis Hunter as a generational talent. Because now if Travis Hunter comes out and has a good rookie year, 50 catches, plays some on defense, but isn't Pro Bowl or doesn't change the game, I mean, people are going to be asking, well, I thought this guy was changing the whole game, right? Because that's the way they were talking so aggressively about him. So, you call it inexperience, call it exuberance, whatever, but I think that was a trait of their draft this year under a first-time GM.
Mike, on your article, it seemed like the executives you talked to were understanding, right, of the Titans taking Cam Ward. One said it was a no-brainer for them. Best quarterback, team with the number one pick with a need at quarterback. But then also some comments made about the situation that Mahomes had in Kansas City, different from what Ward has. I'm just curious, how do you think people around the NFL view the Titans trying to weigh the dysfunction of the last few years with maybe some optimism that this could work, kind of trying to walk that line when establishing an opinion about the team, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Well, if you have everyone's operating on a timeline. So, the coach is going into his second year. There's obviously new people in other positions, but, I think you're always wondering like, okay, when are we going to have a better chance to get a quarterback? Once you take one where the clock is kind of ticking a little bit more sometimes, right? You're going to be evaluated for that guy. Now you've declared, hey, this guy's got to work or else, we're probably in some trouble. So I think it's a difficult decision when you're at number one and you have a quarterback who most people thought might have been the third or fourth, fifth quarterback in last year's draft, who's good, but not just everyone has to take him number one. I think it's a tough spot to be in, and I understand what they did, especially because they did the work on him. And, if you don't like him as much, you can say the Titans talked themselves into him. But you have to act on what your conviction is as an organization. And if they really felt not only that he was, that he could lead them and be more than a mid-tier type of quarterback that you could find in free agency, like a Geno Smith, or find by trade, like that type of a guy, then you have to ask yourself, when are we going to have a better chance to get a guy like that? So I'm sure internally they don't feel like he's, the Patrick Mahomes necessarily or Andrew Luck, but you've got to have a quarterback too. So I get it. I don't think anyone was ripping him for it, but not everybody thinks that Cam Ward is a huge difference maker at the position either.
Because around here, Mike, the day after the first round, we learned about the trade offer that the Giants had on the table, and there was some reaction here.
The day of, Adam Schefter got on and reported that they offered this year's first, next year's first, a third,
multiple other picks
that were never disclosed. So it had a lot of people here hot and bothered.
Yeah. Did you bat an eye at that, Mike? Do you think other people around the league batted an eye at the Titans turning down that offer to get who they believe can be their franchise quarterback?
No, I didn't have a bunch of people saying they should have taken it. But to me, when that stuff comes out afterwards, I grain of salted a little bit of how close it was or what really were their options behind the scenes. I think if you like a quarterback, and maybe they really love him, then you take him. You don't overthink it. And so, I think you could easily make a case that they should have done that, or even you could make a case that they should have taken Travis Hunter themselves high and then done like New Orleans did, come back and get a quarterback somewhere top of the second, saying, hey, there's not that big of a difference between that quarterback and Cam Ward. But you can't make Tennessee believe that. If they believe Cam Ward is the guy, they got to take him. You don't mess around.
Having just done a live podcast with Brian Callahan on Friday night, Mike, it sounds like he would have taken Cam Ward, before the pro day. Even and just wanting to go through the entire process as an organization. So to your point, they had that conviction and they stuck to their guns, which is not something that I'm going to rip them for today, certainly.
No, we'll just see how well he plays and how well they support him and all that.
Absolutely. Mike Sando of The Athletic here. You can read both of his pieces on Execs Unfiltered, their thoughts on the NFL draft for every AFC team in one piece and every NFC team in another. I guess as far as the Browns situation and the Dylan Gabriel draft pick in the third round, and then they ultimately end up with Shador in the fifth and a quarterback room that has many questions and not a ton of answers at this point in time. Not to give away the entire piece, Mike, but what was the general consensus that you got when you were putting out feelers on what the hell the Browns were doing throughout the course of those 3 days?
I think there's an interesting distinction to be made between collecting players and building a team. And so, most people, when you're building a team, you probably wouldn't do that. You probably wouldn't take a quarterback in the third round and then trade up to take not just any quarterback in the fifth, but Shedeur Sanders, who brings a whole bunch of attention and is going to outshine and pull the oxygen out of the room from your other quarterbacks. So that looked like, hey, somebody liked Gabriel, let's take him. And then later, hey, can you believe Shedeur Sanders is still here? Let's take him. As opposed to, let's go into this draft and maybe we get Gabriel, maybe we get Sanders, right? Then sometimes that happens in a draft. You can't predict it and someone's there. But at the quarterback position, you usually handle it a little bit differently.
He's Mike Sando. At Mike Sando is where you can follow him. At Sando NFL, rather, is where you can follow him. You can read him online at theathletic.com for all the great work that all of their sports journalists are doing on a regular basis. Mike, appreciate the work. Appreciate you stopping by the radio show. Always good to see you.
Thank you.
That's Mike Sando with us on 104.5 The Zone. 615-737-1045 is the number. And I guess we can look at Sando's blurb that he got from AFC executives or anonymous NFL executives on the Titans specifically and see if the audience feels that it's fair. The thing that he brought up that he also mentioned in the piece is the expectations that Mike Borgonzi and James Gladstone set respectively for Cam Ward and Travis Hunter. And I don't know if you saw the audio, the post-draft audio of James Gladstone. It might be worth playing, to be honest with you, because it's very, for an NFL executive, it's over the top, right? It's just, you don't normally hear that level of platitude's the wrong word, but just overwhelming praise about the person, about the player, about franchise game changer and all these different things. I mean, you hear coaches and executives talk about these things, but I don't know. It's a lot. It's a high-risk proposition, the Travis Hunter trade, what they brought him in, what it costs to get him in there, what he's going to do for them, how much better they are actually with him and Brian Thomas Jr., with him at receiver as opposed to him at corner, where most talent evaluators think corner is his best position. And Mike Borgonzi, where there have been comparisons made to Patrick Mahomes and Cam Ward, and Mike Borgonzi has talked about that. A lot of the pushback that Sando got, or at least the bulk of the pushback that Sando got, was that, yeah, but their situations in Kansas City and Tennessee were not comparable.
Yeah.
Really not even close.
They're not. It's almost polar opposites.
Yeah. So it's a tough thing to talk about how they handled Patrick's situation when this situation is just miles from the situation. What were the Chiefs picking that year that they traded up to 10?
Was it up from, was it 15?
It was definitely top 20. Like, they weren't the best team in the league by any stretch of the imagination, but they traded up to 10 to get Mahomes, is what I remember. I don't remember how far up they had to come. I don't remember it being a huge distance.
We'll look at it during the break.
Okay, we can find out that information. We can take your phone calls, 615.
Oh, here it is, 27. They were
so they came
27. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
17 picks.
You're talking about the worst team in the league drafting Cam Ward number 1 overall and Patrick Mahomes falling happily into a situation with Andy Reid and an established veteran quarterback and great skill players and a solid defense and Cam Ward. It's not quite that.
I didn't know this. Mahomes was the first QB selected by the Chiefs in the first round since Todd Blackledge.
Whoa.
In 1983.
That's a throwback. 615-737-1045. So let's react to some of what we heard from Sando. We'll read you the blurb on the Titans coming up next. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. 615-737-1045 is the number. I might do Hattie B's for lunch. You immediately, you didn't wait. You don't wait to the end of the show. You just immediately go face first into the vending machine. It was funny. You were talking about how you treat your body after you come back from a vacation.
Yeah.
You've already boozed and eaten your way through Punta Cana, so why get back on the hamster wheel now?
I mean,
as you pick hot fries out of your teeth during the radio, you're disgusting.
People don't know that.
People are literally, you have a camera on you.
No, the camera's not. It is on.
That was gross.
That's disgusting. He literally got in there with his pinky nail and pried a piece of a hot fry loose.
But there needs to be some sort of punishment for that. That can't go unchecked.
His punishment is the shame that he feels when Blaine walks in here, sees the workspace that they share, and then yells at him about why the hell are you eating so much food during your radio show?
I get snacky. But do people relate to that? Like, when I come back from a vacation,
oh God, yes.
You're already being thrown back into the fire from a work perspective. You're catching up on stuff, and you're just kind of getting readjusted to that. So I always give myself like a week of buffer after vacation I'm going to let myself eat like junk and not exercise at all this week, and then layer that part back into my life next week to get fully back to being a normal person.
No, I'm fully on board with that, especially a beach vacation. Like if you've tried to make sure that you don't look disgusting in a swimsuit and you've been cautious about what you're eating prior to the beach vacation or things like that. Yeah, once you come back from the beach, then it's, I think a week is fair game. A week of being a slob and disgusting and eating terrible food and not working out after a vacation, I think is appropriate. Now, we just had Mike Sando on from The Athletic, and we got his insights on what anonymous executives were saying about the Titans draft and every other team in the AFC and the NFC, because they did both sides, but all 32 teams, and they divvied them up into two different articles, AFC and NFC. And you have to scroll all the way to the bottom to get to the Titans because they went alphabetically in this piece to read what the executives are saying about the Titans draft. 9 picks in the Titans draft class, you know this, with Cam Ward being the highlight. And what Sando writes of the Titans, the two teams picking in the top 5 with new GMs, Tennessee and Jacksonville, were rightfully excited about the players they selected. But when Titans GM Mike Borgonzi, did you read this?
Mm-hmm.
When Titans GM Mike Borgonzi invoked Patrick Mahomes while discussing number 1 pick Cam Ward, and when Jaguars GM James Gladstone talked about Travis Hunter possibly challenging the boundaries of the sport. Again, Jackson, I would like this audio at some point. James Gladstone talking about Travis Hunter at his introductory press conference. You'll let me know when you have it.
Send it to me, bud.
Possibly challenging, I'm a little busy, challenging the boundaries of the sport. Some execs saw no upside in either organization setting expectations so high. Did they, because every time I hear Mike Borgonzi talk, it sounds like a hostage situation. Like this is a person who just wants to be in a dark room, watching film, cutting up tape, talking about players, getting into evaluations with scouts and all these different things. He don't want to be doing interviews, right? He's not an overwhelming, like he's not a bad guy. He's not like a bad quote or anything like that. He just, he's very cut and dry about it. Let me answer the question. Let me get to the next question. Let me get back to watching tape. That's how Mike Borgonzi strikes me in our initial dealings with him. I don't think that he was super hyperbolic about the Patrick Mahomes, Cam Ward stuff. He was asked many questions about how they went about the Cam Ward process and how any of it could have been related to how they went about vetting Patrick Mahomes and drafting Patrick Mahomes and how the development, are there any principles that helped you develop Pat into the player that he became that could be applied here? Like he was more responding to questions about Patrick Mahomes given his prior experience with 16 years in the Kansas City Chiefs organization. I never felt like I was getting gaslit into thinking that Cam Ward is the second coming of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, again, if that is how you process it, then at some point that's just on you, right? Like we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Why can't people just take player comparisons for what they are? Why do people's brains have to immediately jump to, oh, that means you're saying this player is going to be that player? I've never understood that. People were freaking out when Brian Callahan said there was a little bit of overlap in Shedeur Sanders' skill set with Joe Burrow, just from a timing and accuracy and working within the structure of the offense. But he can have some of those traits in common. It does not mean you have to jump to Brian Callahan is saying Shedeur Sanders is Joe Burrow, because he obviously wasn't. So, yes, we do this all the time where we want to shy away from comparisons, but I feel like we should be able to walk and chew gum. I feel like we should be able to compare players to other players while acknowledging that they are different players.
I also believe that we should be capable of that as a society, but society continues to prove me wrong. Also, things like James Gladstone talking about Travis Hunter exist. Can I hear from the new Jags GM?
Yeah, as we sit here, Travis Hunter is a Jacksonville Jaguar, and really what comes to mind for me, right? Thinking about the sport of football and really the power of the game itself, right? Its capacity to ignite belief, right? Belief in ourselves, belief in others, right? Belief in achieving what many may deem impossible. Travis Hunter, he embodies belief, right? He's a rare person, he's a rare player, but he's also a reminder that the boundaries of the game of football were built to be challenged. And so the decision to select him was actually a statement for how we plan to move, who we are, and we want him to be nothing more than him. Because when he is, he elevates the space around him. From the football field to the city to the game of football itself, Travis Hunter is who we've been hunting up. Couldn't be more jacked to be sitting right here beside him and introduce you all to the man of the hour.
My goodness. I had not heard that.
It's so good.
It's Shakespearean. So the drama with James Gladstone.
The pregnant pauses.
Travis Hunter is going to fix world hunger out here.
The gravitas.
That introduction was definitely rehearsed in a mirror 17 different times before James Gladstone got in front of a microphone. So you have Mike Borgonzi being asked questions about Patrick Mahomes, given that he came from Kansas City, and then you have James Gladstone acting like there's never been a football player that's ever even in the same ballpark as Travis Hunter.
He embodies belief.
What? What does that even mean?
This is the same guy that had, we ruthlessly dragged him for his quote about just the word. Remember the word salad that he had early in his Jags tenure?
Around the combine.
I don't even remember what it was about. Something about like integrating players into the ecosystem of what they want. It just come on.
Now, I will say, who also had famously one of the worst first press conferences on record? Nick Sirianni, who is now a Super Bowl champion, who has coached in multiple Super Bowls, who is thought of, I don't know, is Sirianni thought of as one of the best coaches in the sport? Because he still, I don't think
kind of needs to be.
I know, but he doesn't
if he's not, it's a little ridiculous.
He's got so much goober to him, though, that I feel like people are very reticent to bestow the normal praise of a Super Bowl champion coach on Sirianni the way that, in Philadelphia, I'm sure they think of him highly, but even Philadelphia is talking about firing him halfway through the season and things like that. So I don't know. People are asking in the chat if come on, that speech didn't fire you up. I don't know. It sounds like I saw somebody bring up the idea that he sounds like he's microdosing James Gladstone. Like it definitely sounds like somebody.
That's new age, baby.
Somebody who's he took one of those mushroom chocolate bars. He's trying to talk to you about something he believes to be very nuanced and very scientific and very thorough, and really he's just saying a bunch of words at the same time in the same sentence, trying to make them make sense. We all have that one friend.
His introductory press conference was full of. This is the one that we were drawn to. Quote, I think it's pretty simple from my perspective. I love how he prefaced it by saying it's pretty simple.
Can I hear it again? It's so good I want to hear it again. Let me hear it.
No, this is a different one.
Oh, this is a different one.
This is from his introductory presser. Where
I still may want to hear it again, Jackson. I'll cue you up in a second.
Where he said, we will prioritize people and players that are intangibly rich. And by doing so, they will elevate our ecosystem, our team, by being nothing more than themselves. It's as simple as that.
Can I hear it again?
Somebody take James Gladstone's thesaurus away from him.
Yeah, as we sit here, Travis Hunter is a Jacksonville Jaguar, and really what comes to mind for me, right? Thinking about the sport of football and really the power of the game itself, right? Its capacity to ignite belief, right? Belief in ourselves, belief in others, right? Belief in achieving what many may deem impossible. Travis Hunter, he embodies belief, right? He's a rare person, he's a rare player, but he's also a reminder that the boundaries of the game of football were built to be challenged. And so the decision to select him was actually a statement for how we plan to move, who we are, and we want him to be nothing more than him. Because when he is, he elevates the space around him. From the football field to the city to the game of football itself, Travis Hunter is who we've been hunting up. Couldn't be more jacked to be sitting right here beside him and introduce you all to the man of the hour.
Oh, my God.
Goodness.
It's like a teacher almost that is just way too impassioned for like an entry level, like 100 level class.
Like he's there to change lives on
Yes.
at that lecture that day.
That first day, that syllabus day, he breaks that out, and you're like, all right, okay, cool. I'm just here to,
I thought
get
this
my...
was just intro to bio. I didn't realize that we were challenging the realms of scientific possibility here.
Oh, we might need to find this audio. Austin Stanley texted us that Gladstone talking about Hunter is Billy Madison doing the puppy who lost his way at the what was what's the event they were doing? What do you call that? Like the
is it like a spelling bee or something
it was like the academic portion. It was like
academic decathlon or something like that.
Business ethics, yeah. And he goes on about
they're basically playing like Jeopardy. I'll take business ethics
and
for 100.
That led to the May God have mercy on your soul. Fantastic rant.
Curtis says is he our age? James Gladstone?
Well, he's not. I mean, he might be your age. He is 33, 34. I mean, he's incredibly young. He looks like he's 24.
Sure, he looks younger than us, but he's... Do you know the age?
34.
Okay, so he's only 3 years older than me, and I'm getting, not even really, I'm getting ready to be 32 here in July.
Well, he's talking about igniting belief. I have a belief ignited in me that we're going to have a great time at Beer Fest, Game Terminal. 4th annual Beer Fest, Saturday, May 17th. It's going to be an amazing day filled with beer, cider, and alcohol tastings, games, fun, excitement. If you haven't been to Game Terminal, it's an incredible arcade bar. Inside, all the games you could ever want to play. Outside, an 8,000 square foot back patio. We'll be hanging out there. Buy your tickets now, $40 online or $50 at the door. Proceeds go to Nashville Humane Association. You get beer tastings, gift bag, and swag with every purchase. Go to 1045thezone.com/events to get tickets. Again, Saturday, May 17th, Beer Fest at Game Terminal.
Brandon Rushing on YouTube, quoting James Gladstone, calling Travis Hunter, quote, intangibly rich. Brandon says, just say talented. Just say talented. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to get involved. Can I hear the Billy Madison audio? Do we have it?
Whoa, Miss Slippy. The part of the story I don't like is that the little boy gave up looking for Happy after an hour. He didn't put posters up or anything. He just sat on the porch like a goon and waited. That little boy's got to think. You got a pet. You got a responsibility.
No, that is definitely the wrong audio.
Do you want him reading the story?
No, it's the puppy who lost his way. I'll send it to you.
Oh, it's just the beginning part of this clip. I thought you wanted his impassioned response.
Either way, you did it wrong.
Win some, you lose some.
No. 615-737-1045 is the number. Larissa is up next.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Sorry about that. You guys on mute.
That's okay.
Love the show. Sorry I missed the event on Friday. I had every intention of going, but I heard it was fantastic. But that guy, and again, I forgot his name again, but he sounded so scripted. I mean, he seemingly has been watching entirely too many movies. I almost wanted him to yell out, greed is good, like Michael Douglas did from Wall Street. But I'm going to guess that even the players and everyone else is like, wait a minute now, we're just trying to play football. It is not that serious. What are you talking about here? So, but anyway, that is kind of a creepy but funny little recording. I'm going to hang up and listen. And again, great show.
Thanks
Bye.
very much for the call, Larissa. We appreciate it. Isn't this indicative of like first time anything, like first time GM, first time head coach? They're coming in here, they're changing the culture. We're gonna wait. How did he describe the way that Travis Hunter is going to kind of set the tone for them? We're gonna move different, right? Buddy, you work for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's one of the losingest organizations in professional football. And I promise you, all the mistakes that you are getting ready to make, everything that is getting ready to go down in your first year running that franchise, it's going to be same old Jags. Trevor Lawrence going to move exactly the same as he was before. Maybe he looks a little better because they got him Liam Cohen. The idea that when football people, and when a lot of people, right, when you get a job that you've been lusting after or a position that you've been lusting after for years, you've been dreaming about this opportunity, you've been thinking about all the different ways that you're going to do things differently that your predecessors couldn't even fathom, right? And James Gladstone gets up there, he drafts an unprecedented player in Travis Hunter, so I guess, that would feed into the narrative a little bit. And then you look around 10 months or 8 months later, and you're still the GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars, as if that's made any difference in the world at all. I laugh at these things.
When we come back, we're going to hear James Gladstone's speech right next to Billy Madison's speech and try to spot the difference.
Excellent. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Last call for phone calls if you got them. 615-737-1045 is the number. So how do you want to do this? You want to play James Gladstone again, then play Billy Madison?
Yes, let's see if we can spot the difference. First from the Jags GM.
All right, let's start there.
I need a second.
Yeah, we definitely didn't plan this at all in the break.
He literally... Did you say that on air or in my ear?
I said that on the air.
You literally gave me the thumbs up. What else am I supposed to do?
No, I gave you the one finger as in 1 second.
I can't see you. There's a glare. Yeah, I can see that pig hoof of a middle finger. It's about as effective as your audio usage. Let me hear from the damn Jags GM.
Travis Hunter is a Jacksonville Jaguar, and really what comes to mind for me, right? Thinking about the sport of football and really the power of the game itself, right? Its capacity to ignite belief, right? Belief in ourselves, belief in others, right? Belief in achieving what many may deem impossible. Travis Hunter, he embodies belief, right? He's a rare person, he's a rare player, but he's also a reminder that the boundaries of the game of football were built to be challenged. And so the decision to select him was actually a statement for how we plan to move, who we are, and we want him to be nothing more than him. Because when he is, he elevates the space around him. From the football field to the city to the game of football itself, Travis Hunter is who we've been hunting up. Couldn't be more jacked to be sitting right here beside him and introduce you all to the man of the hour.
All right, are you ready for Billy Madison?
The Industrial Revolution, to me, is just like a story I know called The Puppy Who Lost His Way. The world was changing, and the puppy was getting bigger. So you see, the puppy was like industry, in that they were both lost in the woods. And nobody, especially the little boy, society, knew where to find them. Except that the puppy was a dog. But the industry, my friends, that was a revolution. Knee-high football rules!
Mr. Madison, what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Well, a simple no would have been, or a simple wrong would have worked.
Oh, it's my favorite. So that's the Jags GM.
Oh, man. Do you know who that is? Who plays the moderator who goes on that incredible speech?
You
about
know that I don't.
We are all dumber. That is Jim Downey, arguably the greatest SNL writer of all time. All the greatest Weekend Update jokes you ever heard from Norm Macdonald were probably written by Jim Downey.
Okay.
And that is an incredible cameo that he made on that.
Excellent delivery.
Awesome
I would like
movie.
that. I would like that Jim Downey clip on the board. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. I would also like, at some point, because I think it's very applicable to this radio show, we are now all dumber for having heard you speak. I would like that as well at some point.
And the puppy was getting bigger. The little boy, society, always gets me.
So we're going to be at where tomorrow? Where are we going to be tomorrow?
We are going to be out at Harmon Tractor and Equipment on Dickerson Pike, 10 to 1.
That's in East?
It is out there, yeah, east-ish.
What do you mean east-ish?
It's east-ish.
Either east or it's not.
It is east of where we are now.
Okay.
Yes. Parman Tractor and Equipment is your authorized Takeuchi excavator and track loader dealer, and we'll be out there. Hope you can come swing by and see us, and we'll see if Robert is alive enough to join us.
Kirby just texted us back after you sent him a text at like 8:30 this morning. Kirby is threatening to put me on a tractor. Now, contrary to popular belief, I know how to drive a tractor.
Really? Because you were...
Lies.
You were, yeah, that's cap.
I know how to...
You don't have the tractor aura.
Yeah.
Stop.
You were allergic. We were out there recently at a location that also sold tractors, and you...
Yeah, we
were at Dickens, and you
just
like,
because I don't want to do it
you
doesn't
were
mean I don't
afraid
know
to
how.
go near the vicinity of a tractor.
Not afraid, buddy.
You seem pretty afraid.
I think this tractor is from the 1980s. My parents live on 25 acres. Like, you have to, there's no lawnmower. There's a bush hog. All right? The bush hog goes on the back of the tractor. You have to know how to drive stick, which is not something I ever thought I would do in my life. This is my point, Lucas. I make money now, so I don't have to do these things anymore. I know how to do them. I just want nothing to do with them at all.
I feel like you just would take the tractor down the long driveway to school and then drive it back up when you got home because you didn't feel like walking up the long driveway.
No, we have a Ranger for that. We don't need a tractor for that. We have a Ranger for that. Hell, I won't even walk down to get the mail when I'm at my parents' place. Take the Ranger to get the mail.
That feels like a fine.
It shouldn't be. A lot of people within the sound of our
we get
vicinity.
it. You have money. Your family has money. Congratulations to all involved.
What, you got to have money to have a Ranger? Plenty of people live in rural situations where they have a tractor or Ranger. See, now you're being a one percenter. Bowls.
Polls presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. What in sports made you say, oh no, this weekend? Ashley says the Preds, with the third worst record, moving to the fifth pick in the NHL draft.
It's just on par for Nashville sports.
Yeah, Bart says anyone who's a Blues fan, that was a brutal Game 7 collapse, up 3-1 with 2 minutes to go in Game 7, giving up 2 goals in 6-on-5 situations and losing in double OT to the Jets. Quez says James Harden stinking it up in yet another elimination game.
His disappearance in pivotal games, in pivotal elimination games, it has to be studied. James Harden is one of the biggest playoff chokers of all time. It's crazy. He's an excellent offensive player. I don't understand how it completely evaporates. It was crazy to see them just kind of peter off or peter out between him and Kawhi and the Clippers.
What do you think of Barry Trotz retaining Andrew Burnett? V-Love says same old Preds. Max says not ideal, but not nearly as detrimental as people are making it out to be. Big summer ahead for Trotz, he says. Clay says, I'm okay with it, but Trotz needs a quick hook if the season starts like it did this past season. So Alex Doherty says Burnett only has a few months really to prove himself. Clay on Twitter is saying that Trotz should also only have a few more months.
No, if it was Trotz's decision to bring him back and the decision ends up being a poor one, then yeah, they both have to be held responsible for that situation. Do they fire GMs in season like they do coaches? I know hockey coaches get fired every 3 months.
Which VFL was drafted into the best situation? Majority votes going to Omar Norman Lott, 39.5% say Omar Norman Lott to the Chiefs. 36.8% say James Pierce Jr. to Atlanta. 14% say Dante Thornton to Vegas. And only 9.6% vote Dylan Sampson to Cleveland.
You said Thornton. I was confused by that. The correct answer is the guy that plays for the Chiefs because he's going to win more in all likelihood, especially given that they go in. I understood your logic from being intrigued.
Yeah, most intriguing but is the better way to phrase it.
Landing spot is anybody that landed on the Chiefs.
Yeah, fair enough. Get to go play next to Chris Jones and Steve Spagnuolo, your defensive coordinator.
He's going to be all right there.
Yeah, you would think. Are more college football players helped or hurt by the transfer portal. 61.4% say more are hurt.
Right now, it feels like I don't have percentages on this. I don't have numbers on this. I'd just be curious at some point if somebody does a study like, all right, who actually did more players end up benefiting from name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal than were hurt by name, image, and likeness, or people taking advantage of their name, image, and likeness, or people using their name, image, and likeness to make money for other people in their family, like all these different offshoots of these conversations. I truly don't know what that sample size is going to bring back because it's just such chaos right now.
How many of the Titans draft picks were transfers? Cam Ward.
Gunnar Helm did not.
Helm did not. Cam Ward did. DK did. Oladejo did.
Iamander did not.
Iamander definitely did not.
Harris did. I don't think Khalil Mullings did either. So at least.
What about Winston? I don't think Winston did.
I don't think Winston did either. So that's 4 of the 9 that did not transfer.
Yeah. So the majority did not transfer.
No, the majority did transfer.
Ward, Oladejo, DK. That's 4. Or 3, actually. Slater did not.
Slater did not. Okay. Yeah. Marcus Harris did.
So
Marcus
4
Harris
of the 9.
did.
Okay.
4 of the 9. Okay. Yes. Marcus Harris.
Woo.
Yeah, I know. It took us a while to get there.
Yeah.
Math, not a strong suit.
Those are the polls.
All right. Very good. That's the show. I don't know if there's prime time tonight, actually, because Sam Phelan doesn't work for A to Z anymore. So I will endeavor to find that out for you. You can check out A to Z Sports at 7 p.m. to see if somebody's there. It's not going to be me, but somebody might be there. See you tomorrow at 10.
Two Rivers Ford announces employee pricing for everyone. Every tradesman, every dad, every rising star. You pay what we pay. Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned. American made.